Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Alejandra Sofia, and this is an astrological view of the week ahead from today, November 19th, until Sunday, November 25th. It's a big week. It's a big week in this unfolding, and the key elements to this week are the sun, the full moon in Gemini on Thursday, and then Neptune. We're in a week that Neptune is stationing, and it's going to station and move direct on Saturday. And then on Sunday we have the sun fresh in the sun sign of Sagittarius. After the full moon will conjunct with Jupiter in Sagittarius. So we also have the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, and Venus has moved direct, and a lot of energies and a couple of key aspects to this week. So there's three key aspects starting with today. Mars in Pisces squares Jupiter in Sagittarius, and tomorrow the sun in the last few degrees of Scorpio, in the second to last degree of Scorpio, trines Chiron in Pisces, and also trines the North Node. So the trine in the sun in Scorpio trining Chiron are trining the North Node, and it's in the degree frequency of 29, the 29th degree frequency. So that's the key to the key aspect to tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, the sun at the last degree of Scorpio forms a quincunx with Uranus retrograde at the 30th degree, the last degree of Aries. And that's a very combustive, pattern breaking kind of energy. Then the sun moves into the sign of Sagittarius, out of Scorpio, out of the darkness, out of the cave, the sanctuary of unresolved issues, resolving something, and coming into the sign journey, the adventurer, the facer of the unknown with delight and optimism. Sagittarius, at the first degree of Sag, the moon comes in and forms an opposition at the first degree of their signs. The sun at the first degree of Sag, and then the moon at the first degree of Gemini. And I will post a full reading on specifically to this full moon, but that being a part of the key aspect to this week. And then the Jupiter coming into its apogee on Friday, which means that it's furthest away. It's at its most climaxing point in its ecliptic from Earth. So it's furthest from the Earth. And then on Saturday, Neptune moving direct, and then finally the sun conjuncting Jupiter in Sagittarius on Sunday. So this whole week is it's beginning with any agitated energy of where you're feeling unmet, where you're feeling longing, where you're feeling desire, with the sun moving through the last degrees of Scorpio, accessing them. That this is a galactic gateway. It's a galactic gateway. Those last few degrees of Scorpio in a trine to, first in a trine to Chiron. So there's something very healing to this week. Absolutely be open to healing this week. And tomorrow, we've got the Mars squaring Jupiter right now. So these agitated energies, these unmet desires, these places that you want to come out and play. Pisces wants to play. Pisces is the child. Pisces is a child of this universe. You're a child of this universe. So resolving any imprints where you've been denying yourself, resolving any imprints from parental structures. Yes, mom and dad, guardians, educational systems, anything that parented you. So in the word parent is patterning. Pattern has the word parent in it. And it's that patterning you took on from unconscious conditions in your childhood, from 0 to 4 years old, 0 to 7 years old, 0 to 12 years old. These are all timing cycles for deep imprints of anything that happened to you where you took on impressions that separated you from yourself. So your own soul is longing to unite with you. That is the crying need that you have, to unite unite with your true self. So there's this, with all these energies in Sagittarius and the sun finishing itself up, the sun shining through the galactic corridor of the galactic degrees of Scorpio, and deep inside the recesses of your psychology, if where you're holding fear and insecurity of being yourself, and something healing calling you forth, because that's this energy with the North Node in Cancer now, and the sun forming a trine. There's a very healing reunion with your own self and with community and with family and with you, something in your own heart and what's happening in your environment and how you want to be a part of the community, because we all do. We are all part of the community. Our individuality is woven into our community, but you need your individuality. So that's what this week's about you coming in more to your individuality and your personality and your blueprint, and getting something about yourself, or going, I got to do this. It's time for me to do this, and stop denying those deep urges that you're feeling, because that's your fire, that's your desire, that's your magic. That's what the sun's doing. It's warming you up in those deep recesses of your psychology, and these last few galactic degrees of Scorpio makes that trine to Chiron, the healer, and then makes a quincunx to Uranus. So there's this real get yourself out the door and go do that thing. And with everything being shaken up in the signs of Sagittarius, with Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, Jupiter in Sagittarius, the sun then moving into Sagittarius. Sagittarius is connected to the quincunx, and the quincunx is a pattern breaker. That is the evolutionary that is the evolutionary energy of the quincunx. Break those patterns that have been binding you, and stop denying yourself. Stop being a naysayer in your own life. You're the one who has to turn it around. And so these urges, this bright light that's being shown upon this week because of the nature of this full moon, and we are in the tide of the full moon right now. We are feeling it right now, with all the reasons why I mentioned what I've stated. So really allowing yourself to be the creator of your life, to come into your leadership, to come into your designer, to come into the one that wants to play and design your life. So, change your room, change your home scene, do something, up-level your creativity, up-level your room, up-level your home that you live in, whether you're living in a van, or living on the road, whatever it is that you need, a change of scene, adding something into your weekly schedule that's more of you. Take that dance class, that acting class, the arts. It's the arts. This is about art, and you accessing your life art. And so these deep unmet needs of this is your life. You're gonna die someday. You know that. We all know that, and we don't ever know when it's going to be. And so in living with more levity in the gravity, and getting out of these pathways, finding the pathways that are your magic portals to creating more happiness, and you getting yourself out of these passive conditioned states of being a part of the living dead. And that means opening up your emotionality to feel yourself. And connect with others as well. That's part of what's happening in the sun, with the sun moving through the last couple degrees of Scorpio and making those two key aspects, trine to Chiron, quincunx to Uranus, before boom, it opens up the doors in Sagittarius and just says, here I am, and yes, I'm gonna do this. And so getting yourself out of these stuck emotional places. So if you're spending too much time in anger or resentment or resistance is a big thing to feel in these last few degrees of Scorpio, because it's your own resistance to your own life. And no one's going to give you what you want truly deep. If you really want deep fulfillment, if you're hungry and accessing, so access that hunger for your own life, access your desires, access your cravings, but offer it up to a long-term happiness, and not the instant gratification that actually ends up giving us a lot of depression and wasted energies, because we're living in such a instant gratification culture these days, these modern days. So really giving yourself the, you know, the long-term pleasure that you're desiring, the long-term pleasure that comes from doing things that are really good for you and healthy for you, that you really love to do, and also untying some knots in terms of confusion with yourself that you may have been encountering around, you know, that actually doesn't work for me. I don't like that kind of exercise. I'm not enjoying it, but because you've been told it's good or whatever. That's what conditioning does, where it's like it brings us up into our head and not making deep contact with our body and what your own body is telling you to do for yourself. So learning, again, I've said this before, of learning about who you are through your body types, through finding out about your dosha, you know, through Ayurveda or Chinese medicine, of like the key of your particular body type. So that helps you take care of yourself, because that's essential as well. It's essential to take care of yourself and know how to take care of yourself in your uniqueness. And the ways that you're not like your mom or your dad or your community or whatever, all the ways in which you're not like everybody else. And so it is for you. And then you also have a lot in common with people. So there is that. So it's a really dynamic world and diverse world we live in. And that's also very Sagittarian to really land. And so whether or not you have any planets in Sagittarius, you do have the Sagittarian sign journey flowing through you. That's just a baseline blueprint. You have it, even if you don't have a rising or a descendant or any cusps. You could have intercepted Sag and you still are, that means that it doesn't have its own, house cusp. If a sign is intercepted, you still have the Sagittarian life stream flowing through you. And so you landing in the diversity, and you are this field of you-ness of your own energy body. That's part of you landing in the diversity of the universe, of this diverse universe and earth that we live in. So so this whole week is just a really powerful opening doors, shining lights upon your own heart, your own dreams, your desires. Big super uberly important is for you to dream your dream. And you don't access your dream up here, you access it inside of yourself. It lives inside of yourself. So taking yourself on walks or an adventure or on a hike or to a mountaintop or a peak, and having these vistas, these open doorways of possibility, giving yourself space and expansiveness, and getting yourself out of your ruts and your routines, because those can be so tight and keep you in these tight places, and they're actually these deep habits that are not actually good for you, and it's you being up in your head too much and not in your body, and you're like feeling good and passionate. And so it's about accessing your vitality this week, accessing your excitement. So get real close to yourself and get real honest with yourself. And part of why we're just honest with ourselves is because we're afraid of what we're going to find, because then we have to, it could shine light on our relationships. It shines light on your life of like, actually, I hate the person I'm with, you know, and that's real. That's super real, where, you know, you may not actually really hate the person, but because of underlying entanglements in which, you know, you might, you love the person you're with, but it's actually not what you really want. And so that's where it gets scary to be honest with ourselves, because I think the first place that it's scary is it's relationships. So being afraid to tell your boss that you actually don't like your job, or you're going to leave, or that you don't want to be there anymore, or and also our fears are connected to our finances. So those are, and that's probably the biggest underlying one is why do we get stuck in jobs we don't like? Why do we get stuck in relationships that we're not totally excited about, or stuck in ways inside? And that's really us. It's not them, it's us. It's because it's the need to survive. It's the need to survive. And inside of the need to survive, yes, pay our bills, yes, get food and water and shelter and warmth, and you know, to be able to survive, but it's also the survival that comes from belonging and belonging to groups and people. So those two are two main threads of these sort of deep survival, these deep our deep unconscious need to survive that drives us. So this is about clearing up those places inside of you by you taking up your own passion and your own belief in yourself. So this is a week about disentangling. This is about untangling yourself and allowing yourself your golden pathways, your freedom pathways that are calling you forth. So yeah, big magic. You are the magic. Dream your dream, live your visions, feel your visions. And so that's where it's essential about taking yourself out of having a change of scene, breaking it up, and giving yourself a break. And breaking out of patterns is do something different. Go on a vision quest of some sort, and there's different ways of doing it. And like I mentioned, the hikes and whatever, just your own vision quest. To have a day off of doing things the way you usually do them. Tell your relationship, I need a break. And those are all kind of scary things. They can be scary things because telling someone you need space, that can be uncomfortable. But that's exactly what is necessary in the sign of Sagittarius. Is you need to open up these, you need to go out to left field because you've been going to the right field and you've been going around, the plates in a certain way, the ballpark, and it's time to go in new directions. It's time to throw your ball in a new direction and be the one who's you're not getting stuck in your role. You need a new role. That's a good one. You need a new role. You need you need diversity. And that's part of Sagittarius as well. Is Sagittarius loves to wear several different hats, and especially with the moon coming into Gemini and that full moon at the first degree with the sun at the first degree of Sag and moon in the first degree of Gemini, it is about wearing many, many hats, and you do wear many hats. And you are diverse. You need new things and fleshing your field with newness. And so there's a real feeling of freshness as well to this week. So enjoy. And if you're interested in a reading, if you'd like to get personal assistance in how this week and the coming weeks and our next new moon is affecting you and influencing you in your personal blueprint, you can email me at starpoweralchemy@gmail.com, and you can check out my website at www.starpoweralchemy.com. And also I post on IGTV and Instagram under @StarPowerAlchemy. So this is a work in progress, my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate any positive comments, and send much love to all of you. Thanks. Enjoy your week.